All right, y'all. So we are about to discuss Salt Lake City, but we can't really get into Salt Lake City without some behind the scenes, i.e., social media drama. Okay. So last night, as most of you guys may know, if you saw it, and if not, don't worry, we're going to break it all down for you. We had this epic confrontation between Whitney and Lisa Barlow, wherein Lisa, after hanging out with Whitney and claiming that they're such good friends, takes her to the restaurant owned by the couple that pulled out of Angie's event. Okay. And now you guys know that Whitney is now related to Angie. I say now because we just found out that they're related by their great times 20 grandfather. But here we have an exchange online between Whitney and Lisa Barlow. So a user on Instagram said this scene was totally staged, the scene where they are at the restaurant, and then says, but wouldn't Whitney know that that's the catering couple's restaurant? And Whitney says this, I do now. Now, Lisa says, such a liar. You practiced your little rant on the way. I told you we were going at Ariel's. And that means that she told Whitney in a scene prior to that they were going to be going to Aubrey and Marco's restaurant. I'm assuming it's Marco. I can't remember, but I feel like they might as well be cast members at this point. Anyway, she says, I told you we were going to Ariel. Such an actress. It's a setup. It's a setup. LOL. Whitney says this. You're still trying to cover it up. I give you an A for effort. Lisa says this. Lies never outrun the truth. Hashtag the text don't lie. So here we go, and we're going to discuss it and break it down with Adam from Up. And Adam, let's get into the intro first, and then we'll get all the way into the drama. All right, welcome back, y'all. We are here with Adam from Up and Adam. Everybody say hi, Adam. Welcome back to the show.
Hi.
So quite a day we've had already. We talked Potomac, and now it's time to talk Salt Lake City. And we're going to get to the exchange that I described for you guys in the intro when we actually get to that portion of the scene. But I wanted to give you guys that preface to give you guys more backstory into what we saw play out on the screen last night. So we'll get Adam to weigh in on all of that and see what other tea he has. Because, Adam, you actually interviewed Whitney. So just to kind of give us some insight into maybe how she may think. Who knows? I'm sure you haven't talked to her after this episode, but still, given that you've had some proximity to her, and I think it would be interesting to have your feedback on this entire exchange. Before we get into that, guys, let me know where you're watching from in the chat. And also, we're going to start this episode by getting Adam's rating for the episode. On a scale of 1 to 10, Adam, tell me what you're rating this episode and why.
So originally, I felt like I was disappointed with the episode when I watched it. But then as I started to digest what actually happened, some of these vulnerable moments that we got with Jenny Wynn, I hated that conversation. I'm sure we're going to talk about it. But that plus Mary Cosby and just being so upfront and honest about her disdain for her husband, like I thought that was interesting. So there was a lot that we got. And the Lisa Barlow, Whitney Rose kind of escapade. I don't even know what the hell that was or heck that was. I'm sorry. What the heck that was. But watching it, I was like, this is okay. Maybe I'll give it a 7. I'll give it a 7.
Okay. I'm with you there. I'm going to, I tend to be just a tad bit more generous than Adam. Adam is like the Simon Cowell of the panel. I'm going to give it a 7.5.
7.5. Okay. That is just a tad bit more generous. Okay. That's not, I don't know how I just got, now all of a sudden you're Paula Abdul and I'm Simon Cowell because you gave it 0.5 more, but okay, we'll take it.
Oh gosh. Yes, I'm Paula. So I give it a 7.5 because I just feel like we're 6 episodes in at this point, and there is neither hide nor hair of the Jen Shah drama. I'm still anxiously awaiting that. Now, in the meantime, I am slightly amused by this feud between Lisa and Whitney. Actually, I'm more than amused. I'm tickled pink at it for some reason, and I cannot tell you why. It's the oddest thing that I've seen happen on a show like this, because I feel like there's, again, with sort of like with Potomac last season, there is the show that's happening on the screen, and then there's the show that's happening behind the scenes. And I'm also taking away so many points because I just feel like the pacing, and I wrote this in my notes, the pacing for this show is very off. This season, it seems as though, Heather, it has been relegated to her kids' room, whereas last season, Mary was in the closet. And I just feel like they've switched places all of a sudden, because where are all of Heather's scenes with her friends? Where are all the group scenes? Why are we getting so many scenes? Typically a good formula for a housewife show, I think, is the first 30 minutes, we are treated to individual scenes and maybe, a couple of couple scenes. And then we get to the big group event of the week. You know what I mean? That to me is ideal. We're not getting any of that. And so it's frustrating to me, but I'm adding in that 0.5 because I do agree with you. There were some moments that I felt like were really worth talking about.
I agree.
And one in particular that made my blood boil, but we'll get to that at the end.
I feel like I can read your thoughts now.
Oh, yes, I'm sure you can. Let's start off. We have Lisa and Whitney meeting for an aerials class. I just feel like this scene was pretty much meant to display, we talk about a lot of times on reality TV or television in general, this idea that you are supposed to show and not tell, or do more showing than telling, because we're watching a visual medium. So I feel like this was their way of displaying the fact that now Whitney and Lisa are on a better foot. Thoughts?
I mean, I'm not buying it. Like, these two are not supposed to be friends. We can obviously tell that the way that Lisa Barlow is constantly dismissing Whitney, and I'm not trying to be biased here, and then we see the editing. Thank God for Bravo editing. But it's like, oh, we're best friends now. Look at us. We've moved on. We get along. Oh my gosh, this is my new best friend. And it seems so disingenuous. I'm not buying any of it. And I do want to know at the end of the day, based off of what you just showed us from social media, who's lying here? Were you actually told at the aerials? Like, did this come up? Because then, Whitney, it makes you look like a fraud. Or did Lisa Barlow lie about that to protect her ASS? Which one is it?
That's what I'm screaming. Somebody released the text messages because I need to know. And we definitely did not get any audio or video of them talking about where that double date was going to happen. So we don't know. We don't know.
Exactly. Bravo can clear this up really quick. They could just play this at the reunion, or just show it, like, watch what happens live, invite Whitney in, let's talk about it, and let's put this to bed.
They probably won't show it because I believe that they like allowing the audience to pick their own sides. And I think sometimes they would prefer that the waters be a little bit murky so that we as the audience have to really try to figure out where the truth lies. I call it the Camille and Kyle syndrome from season 1 of Beverly Hills, where there was this off-camera moment none of us heard or saw that led into this huge drama between Kyle and Camille. And we were all left to try to figure out what the F happened and whose side to be on.
Right. Well,
so I think this is one of those moments.
I mean, listen, at the end of the day, I'm happy that they brought some drama to the show. I don't want it to go on for forever. Like, I don't need this to be a Jen Shah, Brooks Marks situation where it's episode after episode. And it's like, okay, let's get to the point already. So I'm happy they were able to sort of put it to bed. And I really feel like Whitney's evolving as a housewife. I feel like she's showing us growth really quick between season 1 and season 2. She still, seems like she's a little bit uncomfortable. Watching her on Watch What Happens Live, she kind of catches herself and she stumbles a little bit over her words, but I couldn't even imagine being in her position. She's the youngest one on the cast. These are very strong personalities, and I think she's slowly making her way. I applaud her.
Interesting. Side note, I was not going to talk about this, but I just will. I was watching Decca Dish or Dishing with Dana.
Decca Dish with Dana?
Yes, I was watching her because, she's my favorite guilty pleasure at the moment. And she was talking about, I was on the elliptical machine at the gym, and she was talking about how there is allegedly this alliance betwixt Jenny, Jen, and Lisa. And I just wondered what your thoughts were about that, or if you felt like there was any truth to that.
Oh, you can't pin me up against Dana. I love Dana. I could see where Lisa Barlow would come in with the mindset of an alliance. I could see where Jen Shah also would come in with the mindset of an alliance, especially after season 1 for her was insane. Every single episode was a Jen Shah blow up. For Jenny Wynn, I think she's displayed that might not be true this season. When she's sitting down with Whitney and she's sitting down with some of the other women trying to get to know them, and she's like, Lisa's my friend, but I want to get my own perspective on you and who you are as a person, and see, maybe even though she doesn't like you, if we can somehow build some sort of relationship. So I don't know. I mean, as she gets her feet wet and continues to film, that could definitely be true, because you don't just come in here like my head in the clouds as a housewife forever. Eventually there's an algorithm to this sort of thing, and you need to know what side are you on, because you can't stand alone. You won't make it unless you're marrying Cosby and somehow she stands alone and we keep her around. So I don't know.
Speaking of Mary, let's dive into that.
Oh, God.
On this week's episode, Mary is back in her kitchen. We've traded the closet for the kitchen. So we're moving up, y'all. We're moving up and on out. We're going to get her out of the house again soon. I really believe it. But right now, Robert Sr. is back. And I've been wondering where he has been all these many episodes, all 5 episodes in. So by the 6th episode, we're finally seeing him, and he's cooking, and she's trying to micromanage him as he's doing so. But she's really just annoyed because she likes the long rice and he continues to cook the short. That's basically an analogy for their marriage. She wants one thing and he wants another. She is now looking at her life and wondering what's going to happen when Robert Jr. moves out, because she pretty much does not like the man that she married.
I mean, listen, you know this. You're newly married. Jason and I have been together for 8 years. When you start picking at little things like the size of the grain of rice, you know there's something bigger here. And there's stuff about Jason I could rip into all day. Vice versa. He could do the same thing and nitpick. Sometimes I'm more messy. Sometimes I leave things around and he's picking up after me. And he could whine about it to me all day, but he doesn't, because we pick and choose our battles. Here, I feel like it's this relationship. It's done. It's done. I don't think it was ever built off of love to begin with. I feel like this was an arrangement. And now after they had the baby, after they had their son, they had sort of some common ground. But now I think Mary looks at it like, well, if we aren't together, if the son's gone and I end up leaving my husband, what am I to do? Almost like very Erica Girardi, because we don't know, who did the grandmother leave the money to? Was it Robert Sr. and then he married Mary? Did he have a prenup? What does this look like, and what does her life look like without him? Because it might be easier for her to sustain this lavish lifestyle by sticking with her grandpa.
Mm-hmm. It makes me wonder, I liked getting... Again, I like Mary because I like her raw honesty. I feel like it's going to leave her with very few friends on this show. But for the most part, I just think that with this marriage, it was interesting to see her open up so much about it. And I did wonder too, like you said, who did the grandmother leave all the money to? Was it to him, or was it to her, or to both of them upon their union? Or how does that work? And if they divorce, I'm sure, for whatever reason in my mind, I'm just sure that Mary will be comfortable regardless. But I just kind of wonder, what will that mean if she does end up getting a divorce? Because the things that she's saying, if I'm a spouse and I'm hearing this, there's going to be a huge problem. Like when he sees that episode,
it's like saying Butterface, but then also too, just to be fair, Mary's family comes out, like out of the woodworks, out of nowhere, and they're all doing interviews. People from the congregation, they're doing interviews. And we've heard multiple times that Mary has a side piece, and so does Robert Sr. So if they both
I'm new to the congregation. I had not heard that one.
Oh, yeah. So we've heard this, that, I believe it's her cousin, Dan Cosby, actually came on and talked about it on my channel, how everyone knows that there's this relationship, and he threatened to expose that relationship. And he got a call from Robert Sr. putting it to bed, because he was like, if you guys don't come clean about what you're doing with the congregation, allegedly getting people to sign over their mortgages, taking money that doesn't belong to you, allegedly, then I'm going to expose what you guys are doing behind the scenes. Which, even though he came on and said he's still giving them that option, by even saying that on my channel is kind of exposing it. So it's
right. Wow. So that just,
maybe there's an arrangement if you think about it. Maybe it's just like, you have your room, I have my room. Like, I don't want to die alone. I want to, he's an older man. Like, I don't want to restart my life and have to go find somebody new. So let's just do this and keep it under wraps. Respect me. I'll respect you. You go do your thing. Just don't make me look stupid out here. Like that, those relationships do exist. You know what I mean?
Well, interestingly, and just like you pointed out, she did mention last night that that they slept in separate bedrooms, and that it was his idea. And it sounded like that was from pretty early on in the relationship.
Exactly. And that's true. Listen, I kick all night. I box you in my sleep. Like, I am an MMA fighter in my sleep, and Jason wakes up and it looks like I beat the heck out of him, So I've even suggested before, why don't I go sleep in the guest room? We have a second bedroom. Why don't I just go sleep in there? And he's like, at the point that we start sleeping in different bedrooms, I'm not your roommate, I'm your fiance. We just won't be together. So he's like, I'd rather just, this is how it's going to be. And I agree with him. I want to go to bed next to my best friend. I don't want to live a totally separate life, because at that point, what is the real dynamic, the makeup of our relationship? You see him in passing. He annoys you with the way he cooks. If you could totally make him into a different person, you said you would do that. You sleep in different rooms. He stays, like, he quarantined on his own. Like,
and she liked it.
And she liked it, and you like it. And that's the most telling part of it all. You're not missing that attention, that person being there. This is a train that's crashing into a wall. This is a divorce waiting to happen. And this platform might do it for her, because one, she's exposing the dynamics of their relationship. It doesn't paint him in the best light. And two, she might be now exposed to different suitors out there who might be interested in her, giving her a different kind of attention that maybe he can't.
Yeah, because she also talked about the things that she wanted, and it sounded like there was some other type of relationship that she was yearning for, and he just was not able to give it to her. But I also think too, the minute and I agree with Jason, the minute you start sleeping apart, because I believe couples should sleep together naked. Yes, that to me is the way to go, because here's the thing: it allows you to remain. It keeps you intimate in a way that sometimes it's not even always about, doing the nasty. Sometimes it's just about connecting with that person. And I just feel like the best way to do that is sleeping naked together.
Is this what when you sold this off to your husband, what did he say about that?
I didn't give him a choice.
Oh,
okay. It wasn't like this was up for negotiation. I said, this is what I would like. And we did it. That was it.
Okay. I think that I love that.
I mean, I just think it works. I just feel like it makes so much sense. JMW says after she had Junior, they was in different rooms. Oh, okay. So it was after the child was born. Well, regardless, she don't want to be with him.
Yeah, I mean, and it's so obvious.
It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I wonder when or if there will be a divorce announcement. And I don't ever want to talk about nobody, getting a divorce. I just wonder if they're going to stay in this situation.
I mean, it really comes down to what do they want out of life? Like, are you just, I have people in my family who are so miserable. They'll stay in a relationship just because they have the houses, they have the cars, they have all of these different assets. And it's just easier to stay with, the devil, than the devil that you don't, and go and retry to do this all over again. And the older you get, the more exhausting it gets to try to go out there and date and, reintroduce your lifestyle to somebody else's lifestyle and see how it's going to work. Now, would it stop me? Absolutely not. If I'm not happy, I'm going to go somewhere else. But I also have family who they have young kids and they're waiting for their kids to turn 18. And they're like, once our kids turn 18, we've been together since, our whole lives. I'm out. I'm done. Like, I don't want to be with you anymore. So it's just weird. It's a weird dynamic. I don't wish divorce on anyone, but unfortunately, the way that she looks at him with disgust. Would you ever want that?
Yeah, it was just like, I just felt, I was like, wow, this is very deep. But I think we got inklings of this last season, and we just probably didn't really even get the full scope of it. But she's definitely given it to us this season, and I'm here for it.
I agree.
Lisa heads to get fish pedicures with Jenny and Meredith. I loved that Lisa can go twice a week to get pedicures. I just think that was fascinating.
I've never had a pedicure in my life. I know. Never. I've never had a mani or I don't know. One, I have really ticklish feet. And two, I feel like it would be just weird people touching my feet. And then my mom gave me a really a horror story about one time she went and got a pedicure and they rubbed the bottom of her foot so hard that she couldn't walk for a couple of days. Like they rubbed it raw. And I'm like, I don't know where you went, but
I don't know where you went either.
It doesn't make me want to sign up to go. And Jason's complete opposite. Jason's like, what are you doing today? I'm like, I'm working. He's like, okay, well, I'm done working. So I'm going to go get a pedicure. Okay.
I'm going to get one too. 4 o'clock. I cannot wait. Okay. I can't wait.
Today.
It is the perfect way to just, honestly, Adam, you can just not think. That's what I like about it. I don't have to think. Y'all do something with my feet and I will just sit here.
But don't you just giggle the whole time or no?
No, I mean, because I feel like they're not, the only time I kind of giggle is when they do the little scraping thing under the bottom of my feet, but you can tell them not to do that.
Okay.
I think you should try it.
I mean, listen,
if I knew a nail spot where you were, I would make you an appointment myself because you need to do it.
I just tried for the first, it's kind of funny because I haven't done that, but I tried for the first time waxing a month ago. And I got my eyebrows waxed, and you would have thought somebody was getting murdered in the room. When they waxed it off, I was like, oh! And I screamed out every cuss word in the world. And then when I got up, I thought I had no eyebrows left. And I got up and walked out, and I was like, wow, these look great. I don't know how you guys do this. And they're like, you want us to book your next appointment? We just started men's bikini waxes. I was like, you're out of your mind.
Don't do it.
No.
Listen, I would never do that because I feel like it's painful. You can just get your barber to just give you a little lineup around. I need to do it for my eyebrows because my eyebrows are the worst. But I commend you for doing that. And if you can do that, you can definitely go get your pedicure.
Okay, I'll try it. I'll record it. I'll send it to you just to confirm that I did it.
Please report back to us next week.
Okay.
Sorry for the side track, guys. But this is what happens when we're live. Anyway, Lisa recaps her day with Whitney. She realizes that she has an interesting trigger about going to the gym, but I don't really feel like talking about that. Jenny opens up about Dewey wanting more kids because we learned that in total she's had 13 pregnancies. One of those was a stillbirth, and I think obviously she has 3 kids, so then the others were miscarriages. And in my notes, I said it just feels so wrong for him to continue to pressure her this way. And I don't want us to go too far into it, but I want your thoughts on this scene right here, because we learned that he witnessed her stillbirth. And so Meredith at the end of the conversation suggests therapy. What were your thoughts about any of this, Adam?
Okay, so I'm a Cancer and I'm super emotional. And I learned a couple things here. One was I didn't know that in their culture, you shave your head when you mourn the loss of someone. So it broke my heart just thinking about the fact that she wasn't awake when this was happening. She wasn't conscious. And she woke up to him walking in with a shaved head, hugging her. Like, that broke my heart for her. But then also, I kept on wondering about the sister wives thing. I'm like, wait a minute, you're Catholic. From the people that I know, I'm not Catholic, but I know a lot of people who are, and they said that this isn't really a thing when you're Catholic, is sister wives. But then we found out, no, that's not what it is. It's a part of their culture. So I was really trying to understand, but I feel this woman has put her body through so much. She's been through so much pain, and now she's happy with the 3 beautiful little blessings that she already has. Leave it alone. You can see she's obviously very emotional about this. And now she's letting you know, I'm getting to a different age in my life. I don't want to go through this trauma again. I don't want to chase around a child. Why can't we just be happy with what we have? What we have is perfect. And when he mentioned a sister wife, after seeing all of the pain she's been through, which mind you, he witnessed that pain too. He was awake when, he had to finally say, enough is enough. It's been 15 minutes. But it just made it, it's hard. My heart breaks for her. My heart breaks for him, but I feel like he's being incredibly insensitive.
Yeah, and since you kind of mentioned him wanting the sister wife, I feel like we should go ahead and talk about it now. In the next scene that we see from them, they're going out skiing. I think just the 2 of them, and they have it was ski walking.
Yeah, ski. Okay. I don't know what that was. I was like, what is this?
They were on ski. For anybody that didn't see it, they were on skis, but they were not skiing. It was like they were hiking with skis on
flat ground.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
It was supposed to be their date day. And so they end up having a discussion about him wanting kids. And she goes into everything that she has experienced. And his thing is, I want more kids. Even after she talks about what she's had to experience with her body, he's still beating the same drum. I want more kids so I can help replenish the earth. I'm like, if you don't, okay, so then he starts to suggest getting a surrogate, right? And then he goes into getting a sister wife because, again, as you stated, Adam, they say that is, prevalent in their culture. And I think she even mentioned that her grandfather had a couple of wives or something to that effect, or his grandfather, somebody in the families had some different wives and girlfriends. So now he wants one too. And let me tell you something. She was livid when it happened. I don't even know what I would have done, but I was just thinking to myself, it was disgusting to me how he said that to her, because I understand that you might want more kids, but I feel like you should almost love your wife more. And what I mean by that is you should love her enough that you wouldn't want her to go back through any of that anymore.
Well, and then when is enough enough? God forbid something happens. Her body obviously is not reacting to the best because of 9 miscarriages, which is super unfortunate. Again, my heart breaks for her. But when is it going to be enough? When she doesn't make it out of the pregnancy? You know what I mean? Like when you get the baby, but then God forbid something happens to her. She can't say anything else. She's been very transparent. She said everything, and he's still not getting it. So this is one of the things that breaks up marriages, money, babies. Like these are things they're tough conversations. I'm curious how this is going to play out. I really am.
Me too. I don't know what I would have done if I were her in that situation, but she storms off. And we're kind of left with that at the end of the show. Tweety17 says, I was surprised he had a confessional. It's rare to see the husbands with a confessional. This was so hard to see. Now, I will say that I did like his confessional outfit. Only thing I liked.
What would you do if you came home and your husband was like, hey, I just want to talk to you about introducing the idea of a brother husband? What would your reaction be?
Is he going to pay these bills? Is he going to contribute to the house? Is he cooking? Okay, because I don't want to cook no more. So is he doing all these other things that I don't want to do no more? Okay. And then we're going to charge extra. He's going to charge to live in the house too. Okay. Because I'm going to make it real difficult. Why would you want to introduce that into the situation? We just got married.
So wait a minute. You're going to treat him like the brother husband, like the third stew, and you're chief stew running this?
Oh, yes. You're going to be the help. Okay.
Oh,
that's what you're going to be.
Okay. That's no brother husband for you.
I mean, I don't know. Ask me in about 8 years.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? Ask me in 8 years. Because they've been together for a long time. I mean, what about you? You have been in a relationship. I mean, I feel like we're kind of in interesting spots. I mean, I'm married, but you've been in a relationship for a very long time with the same person. So how would you feel if he introduced that to you?
I'm going to take what Jenny said. If murder wasn't a felony, that is how I would react. You would not introduce that to me because I would probably rip your face off of your skull, and it would be a really hard, difficult situation. One of my favorite pastimes is watching like Wives with Knives, or How I Got Away with This or whatever. And I would never be that person, but don't come to me with some stupid concept like a brother husband. You're out of your mind. There's no way. You're crazy as hell. No, sir. That would not fly. No.
So I guess you all know how we would feel about that.
Yes.
JMW says, I wish all the franchises had confessional. Oh, I guess maybe the husbands, because I love PK, Todd, and Joe. The Joe of it all. A couple of scenes that I'm going to kind of fly through here because I don't know. Jen and Stuart, okay, her sidekick, they're off to the jewelers, and she wants to get some gifts for the girls in the group to show her appreciation for their friendship. So initially, she's going to get some snake rings for them, but decides better on that. And the jeweler suggests, why don't you get them some snowflakes? Such a novel concept. And so she decides to do that. And what I cannot discern from this scene, and maybe Adam, you could tell me what you gleaned from this. They said that the price would be between $2,700 and $3,500. But was that for all of them or for each one individually?
So originally I thought it was for all of them. And I had a conversation with Jason about this, and I was like, that's not that expensive. 6 pieces of jewelry for, let's say $3,500. That's a steal. That would be amazing. But then later I found out that it was per piece. So I was like, okay, wait a minute. So now let's times 6 times 3. That's $18,000 that she's talking about spending, when really you just don't have to be a horrible friend. You could just try to be nice. Try to not go on Twitter. Fire your Twitter manager. Stay off social media. Don't blow up. It's very easy. Save yourself some money, because as we all know now at this point, you need that for the legal bills. That's why you're hosting a gig at a strip joint.
Ooh. Well, yeah. There's that. Yeah. Thank you for answering that question, because that's what I was wondering. And I was thinking to myself, I wonder how that's going to look later.
And I love how heavily featured Stuart is this season. Like, they love adding him in this season. And he always looks like like one of the henchmen of Cruella de Vil, like one of the guys who was driving the car. Like, that is who those are the vibes. And if you look at his eyes, he's always like just off.
Okay, so for those of you guys in the chat, if you ever used to watch Days of Our Lives back in the day, there was a character named Vivian. Now, Vivian Alamain actually buried Hope alive, but that's a whole nother story. Anyway, Vivian had this like partner in crime. His name was Yvonne. And Yvonne reminds me of Stuart. It was just like Yvonne followed her around, did all of her dirty work, helped her bury people alive. She did horrible things to people, but he was always there to kind of, be in the background and escort her everywhere. That's what Stuart is giving me in this show. Like, he is the crypt keeper helper. You know what I mean? Like, it's just very strange. He's following her around like Lurch.
It's so odd. It's odd. It's strange. I mean, and I know we're going to get to it too, but I don't know what's more strange, the dynamic she has with Stuart or the dynamic she has with her son, especially after this episode. That was sort of painful to watch, but
let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
It just, well, watching this, he obviously looks up to his dad, right? He loves sports. He's, a great student who has a 4.0 GPA. He's doing it, right? But then when she comes out and she's like, don't you want me at your school? And I'm going to volunteer and I'm going to do this. And then she lets us know, I'm trying to make up for the time when I was a little unhinged after my dad passed away. And I want to be that mother figure that he looks at as strong again, like someone, because when you are a kid, you look at your parents as your protectors and that they can't do any wrong. I remember looking at my parents like that. Then I turned 18, 21, 25, and I'm like, you guys are shady as all get out. But I remember being a kid and looking at them like they were like God, and my parents are amazing. I love my parents. That's not what I'm trying to get to, but it broke my heart for her son, because if that's how he's feeling in this moment, little did he know what was coming his way, because Salt Lake is a small town. Everyone is talking about it. That he has to face it at school. People probably bring this up because it's a huge scandal and she's a housewife. And now he's reading headlines as a kid that have, 50 years in prison, potentially 10 years in prison, 8 years in prison. My heart breaks for this kid. I feel so bad.
Yeah. I mean, I was having a hard time because, he is, I guess, a minor at this point still. So I was kind of like, oh, how do I talk about this? But I guess there's really no other way to talk about it other than honestly what we saw on the screen. He was really looking mad uncomfortable during the entire interaction. I felt like it looked in the scene like he was shooting daggers at her from his eyes, if that makes any sense. Like, just kind of side-eyeing her the entire time. And maybe it was because why would I want my mom hanging around my school? That looks odd. You know what I mean? Kind of be in high school and to have that, because I think any kid would probably feel the same way. Or was it something more? Because I just kind of felt like Coach Shah was trying to interpret for him why he may not want her there, in very polite terms, and she didn't seem to get it or whatever.
Yeah, but that was so off.
It was so cringy to me, that whole scene, because I just felt like clearly he's a high school kid. Why would he want his mom there?
But I love the honesty when he was like, what do you want me to lie to you and tell you that I want you? And he just said it just like, just blank. Like, do you want me to lie to you? Yeah. And I'm like, oh, you gotta listen to your kid at this point. Yeah, and you can tell she has a certain level of mom guilt where it's sitting and festering in her. And she's like, I want to make this right. These are my babies. I know I've acted a certain way and it's, been crazy, but I just want to get back to a good place. But kids are sponges, and they, even though he's in high school, he's very impressionable. He's going to see the good, the bad, the ugly, and he's going to start forming his own opinions about, what's going on behind the scenes. Mind you, we only see small snippets and edited clips of her meltdowns. We don't see what it's like to live with her. We don't see like the audio of her yelling at her assistant that went nuts. Everybody like picked up on that, or her stylist or whatever. He's probably around for some of these moments, and it probably makes him incredibly uncomfortable.
Yep, I agree. Tweety17 says, Stuart is giving me Kim Zolciak's assistant from ATL, the girl that Nene called the assistant Kim Slade. That was Sweetie from Real Housewives of Atlanta and early seasons, I think, of Don't Be Tardy. Let me see if I missed anything else. Thank you for that super chat. So yeah, I mean, we talked about much of the episode, and now we get to there's two other scenes that I'm gonna definitely fly by. One, we get a scene with Heather again having a conversation with her daughter about going to college, and she introduces this idea of having a conversation about the birds and the bees. But then it's almost like she's already had this conversation with her. So I was like, well, what is this even for? Like, I don't need to see this all over again, because I feel like we've seen this for the past 3 weeks. Thoughts?
It's like the Mary Cosby closet thing. It's at this point, we don't need it anymore. And it's so uncomfortable. I don't want to see her talking to her daughter about putting out. Like, this is just weird. It's strange. And her poor kids, like, you're now, Heather Gay has always been a front runner for me. I loved her. But now you're giving me Lisa Rinna vibes and you're using your kids for a storyline. And I don't like that. Like, Heather Gay is interesting enough. Just bring it yourself. Let's talk about the business. Let's talk about this new location you're opening up. Let's talk about the fact that Whitney and Lisa Barlow are over here and it's chaos. Let's talk about something. But I think we'll get more of Heather throughout the season as the season continues, because we know next week we still don't get the Jen Shah drama, which is episode 7. So I'm guessing by episode 8, 9, 10, when Jen Shah gets arrested and everyone kind of backs up and they're like, wait a minute, we don't want to be implicated in this at all. I think that's when Heather's going to step up and have a lot of one-on-ones with Jen Shah. She's going to be more featured as a friend.
Yeah, I want her to mix it up with the rest of the. I don't know. It's just something is missing for me with her this season. Mary and Meredith attempt to play tennis. Mary's really just there for her outfit. Really, this was just another way for Mary to have a conversation with Meredith about Seth and how she kind of likes the idea that Seth is never there. And she thinks that that's a great relationship for Meredith or whatever. And I kind of feel like Meredith is not really picking up on, or she's maybe just starting to get kind of clued into the fact that Mary is not happy at home.
It's so awkward. This was definitely a filler scene. If that's the relationship you aspire to have, that is telling in itself. If you want the relationship where you see somebody most of the time, you don't, I guess is the better way to put it. That's not a great relationship. So I don't know. I think this was a filler episode. I think Meredith and that relationship with Seth, I'm sure we're probably not seeing everything, because I'm sure they got a lot of reactions after the first season. And she gives me LVP vibes. Like, she gives me the vibes that she wants to control the narrative of how we as the viewers are going to view her relationship, and her family. So she wants to take control over this. Whereas Mary, there's no control. Mary is like two bulls in a china shop. That's like, it's just like everything's going to break. It's all crazy. I'm going to say whatever I want. And then once the season airs, then I'll cringe later. But it's off. It's off.
Yeah, very much so. We finally get to the scene of the episode. I mean, it was kind of placed in the middle of the episode, but it is a scene where after they've been hanging out and becoming buddy and BFF and braiding each other's hair, Lisa and Whitney go on double dates with their men. Now, they end up at the restaurant that is owned by the couple that pulled out of the charity event that Angie was throwing. They were doing the catering and they pulled out of it. So everything is going well until the owners come over, and one of the owners, I guess the girl Aubrey, she says, the whole thing with Angie, I can't believe that she did that. And Whitney's like, wait, what? And then it starts to sink in for Whitney that maybe this was all set up by Lisa Barlow in order to prove Lisa Barlow's innocence in that entire thing where Angie was blaming Lisa Barlow for getting the caterers to not film and not participate in her charity event. Thoughts on this?
Okay, so I want to use an experience that, I was around for Vanderpump Rules filming.
Ooh, tell us.
Yes, season 8. So I was working at TomTom. Richardson, who should be featured on the show a lot more. He's amazing. I don't understand a lot about the show at this point. I don't understand why we lack diversity. I don't understand why there's not a member of the LGBTQIA plus community on there. All the way around. But Richardson was called on the phone and said, hey, we need you to come stand at the host stand. We're going to film the cast walking in, and we want you to greet them. And because you're the manager, so we want you to say hi. None of the cast showed except one, and her name was Danica. And when she showed, producers wanted her to chew out Richardson for throwing her out of the restaurant because she was the manager at Sir. So they completely set up this whole moment to catch Richardson off guard and give Danica a moment where she could look like she really pops off on TV. So it was reality TV gold. He was all in his feelings and emotional because he was set up, and Richardson is not one who you want to set up. And that night he was like, I quit. I'm done. I'm calling Lisa and Ken. I'm over it. I'm out. This is done. And he felt like it was a total setup because that's exactly what it was. That is the same vibe I get from this. This was a total setup. And the problem is when you have a setup, everybody has to know their place. This girl walking up at the most awkward time, the owner, and saying, oh my gosh, what Angie did was so horrible. I can't believe she did that. It was like, this is terrible. This is terrible acting. This isn't even the right time. Most uncomfortable and awkward situation ever. I am Team Whitney on this one. I feel like this was it was staged. I don't even feel like it. It was staged.
So do you think it was Lisa that set it up or production that set it up?
I think production got in Lisa's ear and they were like, oh, we have a moment here. And I think Lisa Barlow looked at it and was like, okay, well, this is an opportunity to clear my name. So yeah, we'll do that. You want to film like this? I mean, just like we know we have a scene coming up where Lisa Barlow is going to sit down with someone who used to be a part of Mary's congregation. Who set that up? Lisa Barlow all of a sudden is calling a member from the congregation who she said, we've been friends for a long time. Or did production say, no, Lisa, we need you to sit down with this person because we know you know them in passing, but we want this conversation? Production.
It's interesting because in my mind, I'm thinking, why would Whitney not react to that happening? Like, there's no way she wouldn't figure this out, or she would, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, in what way did they think this is going to go across very well? Yes, I see it now. You're going to be vindicated. No, it doesn't make any sense to me because I feel like they may not have, I don't know who, maybe production, somebody does not have faith that Whitney can put 2 and 2 together, but the girl can put 2 and 2 together. Okay. I feel like if you are blind, you can see that somebody set this up. Now, whether it was Lisa or production, I don't know, but the way it looked, it came across in Lisa's favor. So it looks like it's Lisa.
I mean, it looks like it's Lisa for sure. And, I was reading fan comments last night where people were like, I can't believe Whitney was so quick to put this to bed and be like, let's move forward. But I have to applaud her for this. If she would not have said, no more talking about the past, only the future, because she knows if we talk about the past, one of us is going to get upset. So if you want to have a relationship, let's move on. Let's put this to bed and see if we can keep a clean slate moving forward. I would rather her do that than us, again, having the Brooks and Jen Shah moment that lasted 3 episodes. That is unnecessary and we don't need. So It's like, which one do you want? Do you want the ongoing storyline that we're beating it like a dead horse and nobody cares? Or do you want to just move on and let's get to the next?
Right. I think that if Lisa did in fact not have anything to do with it, as she states, I think that I understand her desire to want to be vindicated. But if that was the idea, then I think that there was a better way to do it, because that definitely seemed like a setup. So I can't say that I was on Whitney's side in this instance. And I like the way that Whitney said, you know what, we're just going to do some shots and we're going to squash it. And that's going to be that, because again, it's conflict resolution. We talk about that a lot on this channel. If you're going to have conflict, we eventually want a resolution. And I felt like she said, you know what, let's just put it to bed. Okay.
Right.
Put it to bed. And that's
I love how she dismisses the woman too. Like, it's her own restaurant. She's like, I can't do this, Angie. They're like, that's not her name. And she's like, whatever. I was in my emotions. But she's like, she pretty much like face palmed the owner and is like, out of here, like, get out of here. And the people from the caterers, they got a moment too. Their restaurant was featured. We got to see a little bit of them on camera, which it doesn't matter. But we also heard behind the scenes that part of them doing the catering for Angie to begin with was to feature them and show their business on the show. And that didn't happen because we heard Lisa was in her feelings and she canceled it, which we still don't know. I mean, we've seen text messages and they've defended Lisa relentlessly, but now she owes them a filming moment. So what better to do it than now let's go to your restaurant.
And now, because of this, I want to go to it.
See?
Next week, guys, we have something to look forward to that unfortunately is not the Jen Shah situation. It is apparently Mary versus Lisa and Jenny. And I'm wondering what is going to lead to that. Any thoughts on that, Adam?
A couple. I don't know what actually led to it, but I found it interesting because we know Mary Cosby has now labeled 3 cast members with the R word. Whitney, Heather, and asking Lisa Barlow, is it because I'm a Black woman, right? So watching Jenny is also, she's a minority, and she decided, hey, wait a minute, I'm not playing that game. I'm not playing, don't come for me because you think, you can say whatever you want. I'm not the one. And seeing her pop off, I was just like, oh, this is going to be good. I don't know how this got here, how it got so left. Mary looks incredibly uncomfortable. She looks like she doesn't like conflict, but she's almost like a keyboard warrior to me. Like people who get behind and start messaging and they attack you, but then once they see you in face, or see you face to face, it's kind of like they give you slight shade, but they can't really take it all the way. Like that's what Mary Cosby gives me. Whereas Jenny just looks like, I have my husband over here offering to bring a sister wife in. I have a lot of stuff going on. I'm not here to put up with you. I will rip your head off. I was like, oh, all right, Jenny.
Is Mary's church still open? This is so random.
I'm sure it is.
I guess I was wondering because, when she does her tweet and delete, what is that for? Like, why tweet it and then delete it? And then basically delete the whole account.
I don't understand. I don't understand it from her, from Jen Shah, from Erica Girardi when she outed the judge. I don't like, once you put this out there and you have such a public platform, it's out there. Delete it all you want, but someone is going to screen grab something. So I don't know. I don't know what's going. Are you tipping the bottle? Are you what is happening to make you make this reckless decision and put this stuff out there? And I don't know. I can't answer that. I mean, did she delete her Twitter?
Well, I know after the Whitney thing, I felt like the Twitter was deleted, or maybe I was blocked. I'm like, how am I getting blocked again? But anyway,
did you get blocked by her before?
No, I haven't been blocked by her yet. But I'm just thinking I've been, just been blocked by other people. In my mind, I'm like, what? Why did you delete the entire Twitter page? But then it seemed like it came back when it came time to defend herself against. No. And when she talked about Jenny on Watch What Happens Live, and then Jenny responded, and she responded back to her, I'm like, oh, well, you must be back on Twitter again. Like, okay, what's going on? But then apparently those tweets were deleted, and now I haven't seen whether or not she's back on Twitter or not. But one can just simply do a Google check, and I'll tell you.
Well, there was another person who just deleted their Twitter on another Housewives franchise.
Who?
Chris Bassett.
Oh, wait. Are you serious?
Yeah, after the scene came out with him grabbing Candace and trying to remove her from the table, fans went nuts over that. And I'm guessing that's why he probably would have deleted his Twitter, aside from the fact that he's just absolutely reckless on Twitter. Listen, and I don't feud with anyone. I don't do Twitter feuds. My one and only Twitter feud has legitimately been with Chris Bassett. So at this point, I'm like, he even challenged me to a celebrity boxing match, which to my biggest question was, who was the celebrity here? He's like, let's do a celebrity charity boxing match and take it to the ring. I'm like, well, I don't see a celebrity. I'm not one.
What is y'all? What is the issue?
Are you want to be our therapist?
We can do a sit-down intervention. Like, what is the issue?
It started with the Fallon interview. I don't know. He said, Fallon, I'm so happy you did this interview. I can't wait to watch it. I wish you wouldn't have done it with this fraudulent Adam, because I did an interview. I can break it down to you in less than 30 seconds.
Okay.
I did an interview with Candace when I first started my channel. In the interview, I asked her about the Vanderpump Rules firings. I said, do you agree with them? She said, yeah, absolutely. Because these cast members, if I'm going to be a part of this network, I want my network to stand behind what's right. So I think if they're going to say reckless stuff, which they did, they should be fired from it. Lo and behold, a month later, tweets resurfaced from Candace. So when they did, I was talking to somebody that you may know too, who worked in production, James, for Potomac. And I was talking to him and a couple other people asking, what do you think is going to happen to Candace on the show? Do you think she'll be fired because of these tweets? And I did a video talking about it, asking people, what do you think? Well, in that video, I struck a chord because she said, you have my number. You could have just texted me and asked, what do you think? Which, like, you would have answered that anyways. So that is it. That is the whole conflict. And then you have Bourbon Bottle over here picking up, probably, and I'm just guessing from what we see on the show, probably having a few drinks, right? Because when you're unemployed, you get to do that. You get to kind of sit around and do whatever you want, and probably having a few drinks and then deciding to go on Twitter and on these rants. So I don't know. I don't know. We put it to bed, and then I wake up at 12 o'clock at night because I go to sleep at like 10. I'm like an old man. And I see like my Twitter notifications going off, and I'm like, oh, here we go. And we're both on the East Coast. Like, what? Go to bed. Your wife is in bed because she's working. Go to bed.
All I'm thinking about is Bethany. Go to sleep.
Go to sleep. Yes. Go to sleep, Kelly.
Oh, well, hopefully, I want everyone to be kumbaya. And hopefully that can be put to rest. But I didn't know he had deleted his Twitter. I did know that people had a lot of thoughts, because even when I talked about it, people felt strongly about him and how he handled that situation. I could see kind of both sides of the equation, but I definitely could see from an outsider's perspective how people could have looked at it. But yeah, I mean, I haven't been blocked by Mary. I can tell you guys this now, and Mary is back on the Twitter. So there is that. Now, all of those tweets for Jenny and Whitney, who she labeled bobblehead, have now been deleted. And that's that. So I don't know. Hopefully Mary will leave her the next time she decides to go on a Twitter rampage. Girl, let me tell you this. Just stand 10 toes down in what you say and leave them up there. Otherwise, don't say them. Save it for the reunion.
Save it for the reunion. I agree.
Well, guys, listen, we have had a lively time today.
Talking about brother, husbands, pedicures, everything in between. Gosh.
Oh my God, I love it. Adam, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to recap Salt Lake City. I know you have a lot going on, so it is very much appreciated. We definitely love having you here. Tell us where we can find you if we're not watching Salt Lake City on this channel. Where can they find you?
Yeah. So you guys can find me on my channel, Up and Adam. Tonight we're going live. So Monday through Friday, we started a new segment called Hot Messy Topics, which is really fun. It's a subscribers only live chat where we take callers all night for like an hour and a half, and everyone gives their unfiltered opinion on like 5-6 topics that I picked for the night. And then I've been working on this for a year. Everyone on my channel knows this. I finally got my Kathy Hilton interview, and I'm dropping it on Wednesday. So if you guys are around, I'm so excited. She even said at the end of it, she's like, I don't do these like podcasts and YouTube interviews. I've never done one before. So this is the first one. And, thanks, Adam. And she's like, I feel like you're kind of like my kid now. And she's like, wait a minute. I have Baron, I have Conrad, and now I have an Adam. I have an A, B, C. I was like, wait, does inheritance come with that? Because I'll be the A to your BC. I will be the A. But no, seriously, when I looked at my emails and when I first messaged her, it was November 15th of last year. And she sent me on a wild goose chase saying, yes, absolutely. I'd love to do an interview. Just contact my assistant, Emmy. There is no contact information for Emmy. So one day I was talking about the interview and I was like, who the is Emmy? And somebody took that clip, posted it on Instagram, tagged her in the story. And I got an email the next day from Emmy, and she was like, we're setting up an interview with you and Kathy. Kathy thought that was so funny. And I was like, no way. Somebody's messing with me. Yeah.
I love it. You know what? If there's anything that we're going to take away from this, guys, it is speak what you want, say it out loud, proclaim it, ask the universe for it, and it will appear. Adam, thank you so much. Guys, thank you so much for participating in our just our Salt Lake City and life review. And we will be back with you guys next Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk more Salt Lake City and whatever else decides to come up. Just join us. You never know what's going to happen. We'll see you guys next week.